There we go. Welcome back, guys. I think it's the first time I've ever actually been on time. It's like bang on 10 o'clock, so that's a first there. So no, welcome back. It seems like it's been a long time since we've done one of these. Like football's been and gone for a long time, but obviously for reasons that we all understand. But thankfully we are back, and we're talking about another game of football and another big one for Man United after that first game that we had. I've got some great guests again tonight. John, Bainesy, Stu, and Mr. Tonner are going to help me out and talk a bit about the game tomorrow. So, without any further ado, we'll come straight on to John. John, it's a big game tomorrow. You know, not normally in the Europa League for Man United. You think it's probably usually plain sailing, but it's a big one after that first result. And obviously international break after that, so a chance to put out some of the big guns as well, John.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it was good result last week, and Trails should have, possibly the circumstances might have affected the atmosphere and that kind of thing. And it's good to be talking about football again and that. So I think it's an opportunity to put a full strength team out because we didn't play last week and we're not playing this weekend. And we need to. With the two cancelled fixtures or postponed fixtures, it's critical that we do finish top of the group because that means if we finish second, then we'll have to play 2 extra games in February time, won't we? So I think it's critical that we get back to winning ways. Obviously, Sheriff beat Madrid last year in the Champions League, and they had a good away performance away at in Cyprus last week. So they're no moles. You got to respect them, but you got about a full strength team, I think, and hopefully we'll bring back 3 points.
Yeah, that's what's important. I mean, Ben, to just come to you on that in terms of the preparation. Ten Hag said, look, we've been using the time wisely and training quite. Training every day we've had available. So if anything, it's quite a bonus for Ten Hag because I don't think he's had a lot of time to really train with the players since he took over in the summer. So is this kind of a positive that Ten Hag's been able to kind of settle his squad down a little bit? Do you see it as a bit of a bonus that we've had this break?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's a bad situation in the UK. It's everything that's gone on, but a bit of a blessing. For United, we've there's not many times this season, even going on to the end of it, where we're going to have a week between the games, and even our Sunday schedule on against Leeds is postponed, so we'll have another week to prepare for the following game, and it's crucial moments because what people really don't understand especially with the Premier League teams is coaches do not get a lot of time on the training pitch with players. You have a game, the next day is recovery. You have maybe a light session. You then have a team meeting. Obviously, look, don't take my word for it, but this is generally what happens. And then the following day after that, you have another game. So it's hardly ever where teams can get a proper week in, where there's a rest, there's recovery, there's a big training session, team meetings, whatever, tactical switch-ups, however you want to play it. So, it's a bit of a blessing for some of the clubs in the Premier League. As for tomorrow, it's a must-win. Sheriff, look, they did beat Real Madrid, didn't they, last year in the first game? Yes, they did. A bit of a shock. Everyone can say that that's a shock result, and I imagine it should be that United turn up there and they should do them over. Really, they should win that game, especially that performance last week. I think the next 3 games in the Europa League need to be wins. So, a bit of a blessing in disguise for United this week, and obviously next week. Hopefully that everyone's well rested, and we can play a full strength squad and get back to winning ways.
No, definitely. I think you're right in terms of the, just getting on the front foot with this now, Bainesy, isn't it? And just sort of making sure that we get these wins under his belt. Yeah.
Plow on now. Get a few wins now in this competition. Get through to the knockouts. Top the group.
Yeah,
Should be the aim now.
Yeah, because I think when we come back, just looking at the fixtures here, when we come back, we've got Man City away.
City,
yeah, which is straight in the thick of it. But again, in the Europa League, we've got Ammonia, who, let's be honest, are going to be potentially the whipping boys of that group. So yeah, it's a good chance to get on the front foot, and obviously Sheriff at the minute are top in the group with the goal difference they've got. So yeah, good chance to sort of take a little bit of a foothold. Mr. Tom, just what are your views at the minute with the kind of initial break and coming into this game? Are you kind of optimistic with seeing a strong side out there and carrying on from where we've left off, or what's your kind of general feelings on this game, or is it a little bit of a kind of frustrating game? Would you rather see a Premier League game to wind off the wind into the international break? How do you feel with it all?
Bit of both, to be honest. I feel like it's been a good break in terms of, obviously, after the window, we didn't really have a time to bed in Anthony properly, like on the training ground, Casemiro. It's all been rush. Do you know what I mean? To learn Ten Hag's system, and to, obviously, Anthony knows it, but I remember he mentioned about Casemiro. He still needs to learn my system. Whereas in now, how he trains every day, especially he likes to train a lot to teach the 11 patterns of play on the field. He would have enough time to do this, and it wouldn't surprise me. Might be wrong if he went with his strongest 11 tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me, because then we don't have another game until after the break, if I'm correct. So there's no reason to rest players. So it's a good time to, like I said, to instill his style, his patterns, everything, man. I feel like it's, as much as fans are not happy, I'm not happy. I want to see Premier League football. But as for what Ten Hag wants to do, it's good in that terms, and going over the patterns and where they should be on the pitch. Because I remember the 2 goals against Arsenal, Ten Hag did mention that's what he's been working on a training pitch. Eriksen picking up the balls in those pockets and where the players should be, and Bruno being in that area. So maybe we might see some more new things tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And who knows, man? I'm
optimistic,
just happy
man.
Always
optimistic.
I'm just happy to see Man United play tomorrow. I'll be honest. On the weekend, I watch a lot of European football. Now this week, I can watch at least some Prem games and see Man United tomorrow. Of course, I'm happy, man.
Well, we'll come to selection and stuff, but I want to get your take on this, Mr. Ton, and I'll come to Stu on this point as well. But do you think he's got room to experiment tomorrow? Because I personally don't feel he's got too much room to do that.
No, last game, I remember being on a space where people were saying that he should rest everybody, and I was one of the ones that said, no, he should go, especially our last game was the best team in the group, so we should have played our best, strongest team. Where the other teams, you could easily rotate and rest. But this last game, we should have definitely rotated and rested probably 1 or 2, just for Ran, maybe, because, injury prone, and probably one other player, but not as much changes as we did, because we lost a lot of patterns. But tomorrow, because of where we are in the group now, I'll go with our strongest 11. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, there's no other game. We ain't got a game in the weekend. What's the point? Who needs to rest? No one needs to rest.
Yeah, play a strong one tomorrow.
Yeah, play them.
Yeah, I mean, just coming to Stu on that point as well. I mean, just looking at the injury outs at the minute, Stu, we've got Donny out, Wan-Bissaka's out at the minute. Obviously, we know when Martial's already out anyway. I believe it's an Achilles injury that he's got.
He's still not back?
He's still not back.
Oh, wow, that's a big one.
Dubravka's not travelled with the
internationals.
Yeah, might be saving him for that.
Still, someone brought a point to me, and I've noticed it. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it as well. We're not releasing anymore how long players are injured for.
No, yeah, I've noticed that.
Someone actually pointed that out to me this week, and I was like, you know what? I didn't notice it. Then today, the press conference again, I was like, even he didn't say about Rashford how long he's going to be out for.
Yeah,
I've noticed something. I've noticed. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. It's a fair point, really. I mean, I don't know what the reason for that is, other than maybe to take some pressure off the player itself. But yeah, you're right. I mean, just on the outs against you, we got Donny, Wan-Bissaka, Martial. Dubravka hasn't travelled. Didn't explain why. Just said he's not travelled. At least some of what I've seen, it's not explained that further. And I think we've got an under-18s keeper in there at the minute. Yeah. As a backup, which will be surprising. Be a big step up for him if De Gea is suddenly not fit to play. And And obviously we know about Rashford, which was the big talking point from the press conference today, which kind of leads me on to my question, really, in terms of the forward line, Stu. Martial injured, Rashford now out. I think we were a bit worried about this. I know, Mr. Ton, we were speaking about this a little bit as well as the rest of the guys. But, there's not a lot of forward options there. And suddenly we've got two of them now injured. Is this a bit of a concern, Stu?
Well, look, first of all, it's been a massively difficult time for the country the last week and a bit. It's something we should be paying respects to. I've been quite saddened on Twitter to see various people's opinions. I'm quite happy with people's opinions. People can have their opinions, but sometimes you've got to keep them to yourself. It's not every day you lose your head of state. And I think it's important that we recognise that. I think it's important that all for United recognise that, which we have done by cancelling shows. But it's our first time to actually speak about it. And sometimes football's got to take a back seat, irrespective of whether people like it or they don't like it. I thought last week's cancellations was the right thing to do. And obviously we know why we're not playing this weekend, and that's due to policing issues, because our country... Yeah, it's policing issues. Our country's going to have 500 heads of state arrive over the weekend. It's impossible to police Manchester United versus Leeds. And so I think it's important that we, remember and recognise our head of state and welcome in our new king alongside our new Prime Minister, which I'm not so sure about, but we'll keep moving on. Right, with regards to Sheriff, look, we have to play the best team available to us, because we have to come away with 3 points, irrespective of what happens. Rashford's not going to go with England. I wouldn't think Sancho will go with England. I would imagine Maguire would. So we need Maguire firing. I thought he played okay actually last week. We were quite unfortunate with the goal, but it's just one of those things. So I would go and I would play the strongest team that we can. And I would try and get a 2 or 3-0 victory and then come back and then go from there for when we're back in action against City. I think City are beatable. I watched them tonight. I watched them against Villa. I think City are beatable. I don't think it's something we should worry about. So I think City are beatable. I really do. I don't think it's something we should worry about.
They lost this season, haven't they?
You are, sorry?
They haven't lost this season, have they?
No, they don't.
Well, it's interesting because we both played 6 league games. We both won 4, but we obviously lost the first 2.
That's the only reason why
they've drawn 2. But having said that, we've also beaten Liverpool and Arsenal, haven't we?
Exactly. So I would like him to go with a strong squad. I'd like to get a 2 or 3-0 victory, come home, do the international break, and then let's get started. So it'll be quite interesting to see how we line up and how we perform as a unit.
Yeah, just quickly onto the forward line, Stu. And by the way, sorry, I perfectly right in terms of what you said. I think just to make sure that it is a tricky one. I think the majority of the nation are behind the current state of affairs, but obviously for the sake of upsetting anybody, I felt it necessary not to mention it. But you're right, you're 100% right, and thank you for saying your piece there on that one. So
no problem at all. Forward line, that's an interesting one. And you're absolutely right. Look, I've gone on record of saying Garnacho could well be an issue during games with the way that he kind of adopts his position in the team, and as much as he's still very, very young, he's still very, very naive. But I do like the kid. There's something about the kid I quite like. He would frustrate the hell out of me if I was Ronaldo. And so would Anthony. Just at this point in time, Anthony would frustrate me if I was Ronaldo as well. But I wouldn't be upset giving Garnacho a run out, full 90 minutes against Sheriff. So I would look at maybe Anthony again, because we've got to. I know we'll go through the team later, but I would look at Anthony, Ronaldo, and Garnacho. I'd give him a shot. I'd rest Sancho and I'd rest Alanga. So it wouldn't upset me too much. He's gone, hasn't he? He's in the squad, isn't he, Garnacho, alongside Charlie McNeil?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think we've spoken quite a lot about whether we give these young players a chance. Let's be honest. Sheriff, are they of the quality of a typical Premier League side? I don't know if they are. So these players, if you're playing an FA Cup game or whatever in an initial FA Cup game, you'd be playing Garnacho or whatever, wouldn't you, or giving McNeil a chance. So I think they deserve minutes personally. I agree with you, Stu, on that one. Do you think they will? Well, we'll come to selection in a bit anyway, but yeah, do you think they will?
I don't think he will. I don't think he will, but I would. Because I think a bit of youthful exuberance at the moment. It's just whether Ronaldo will cope with that for 90 minutes or however long Ronaldo plays. Because I think he'll start Ronaldo, and he's got to start Anthony. We'll go through this anyway, but I would give the kid a go. Yeah, I have to say I would.
Yeah.
I would.
John, just over to you, mate. I mean, I'm just looking at the recent fixtures and stuff, and apart from maybe the Arsenal game, which is always a topsy-turvy game for us anyway, every season, despite form, we haven't really scored a good amount of goals. We haven't been necessarily convincing, have we, this season? We've played well, we've had gritty performances, which has been an improvement from last season. But do you think this is an opportunity to gain a little bit of confidence and score a few goals in this game?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, I mean, you've obviously got respect, sure, if they're not going to turn over easily. But I do think you got to show your experience and show your skill in a game like this. And hopefully we will. I do think, like you said, we have, Arsenal had played well at times during that game as well. So it wasn't like it was a comfortable game for us. We did get a good result, but for large periods, Arsenal were probably the best team. But I do think we've been building momentum. Like beating Southampton 1-0 and someone on. They weren't great performances, but they got the job done. Then we beat Arsenal, obviously. Circumstances have maybe stopped that momentum a little bit. So that's why I think at the game tomorrow, you do need to, put out your best 11 if possible to try and, get that win and build the confidence back up again after the loss last week. And I do think if you play the game well, you should be able to hopefully score 2 or 3 goals, and come back with hopefully a convincing away performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's all about building that kind of confidence across the team and across the squad, isn't it? Really, John. So it's definitely important. But just to sort of touch on what John said there, there is a few players that haven't really kind of gained that full confidence. Obviously, Anthony's only just really landed in the team. Sancho, I don't think really kicked on from what we were hoping for yet. There's a lot of tactical reasons why I think that's happened, but are you kind of hoping that maybe, Ronaldo as well, maybe kicks on his season and maybe they do too? Is this kind of the game where you feel that might happen?
Yeah. It will be an up and down season. We're going to have great moments. We're going to have horrid ones, and this is all part of the philosophy and the rebuild. Some people can come out and say that 3 losses out of 7 or 8 games that we've played isn't good enough. To a certain extent, you're right. We shouldn't have lost against Brighton or Brentford, but these are the results really are going to happen, and they won't be the last ones either. All right, yes, beating Liverpool, great. Beating Arsenal, even better. But there will be other moments in the season where it's going to be horrid and we'll lose games. And the whole point of this season is to bed in players like Sancho and Anthony and Casemiro and Malacia and trying to keep Varane fit and have him in the back 4 regularly. So yeah, I wouldn't so much say it's a throwaway season, because again, there is expectation at United to win trophies, and we haven't had that in some time now. So for me, I think the time will come. Sancho, he's had an okay start, and 2 goals, couple of assists. He's played all right. He's not. The thing is with Sancho, and a lot of people compare him to Rashford on the other side, where Rashford's more of a risk taker. He'll run at players. He'll try and take them on. He'll try a pass here or there. Whereas Sancho is, if it's not on, he'll play the safe option. And now some people get wound up by Sancho because obviously, again, he can run at players. He's silky. He can get past players. But I'll much rather keep possession, and I think that's what Erik ten Hag is going for as well. He's possession based. He wants to keep the ball, and I think Sancho will do that. He will come. He will come good. We all know that Sancho is going to come good. It's all about working on the system, working with the players around him. Last year he had 2 different right backs to work with, and again, it's just building that partnership that you have in midfield and your right back. So, look, it's going to be difficult for all the players. It's a season where there's going to be 3 games in a week. There needs to be some kind of rotation. We're already getting plagued with injuries, and we're not the only. We can't just scream and say we're the only club, because there's plenty of clubs that are being that have plenty of injuries already this season. So yeah, it's going to be that kind of season, I think, for us. The best thing to do now is we've had a week off, play your strongest side now, bed them back in, and for the likes of Anthony, Sancho, obviously he's not going to play tomorrow. And then we've got another week off, and then we'll focus on. Sorry, I can't. I'm really bad with these names, but the other team basically begins with O. So yeah, it's going to be one of those seasons. I think people need to really think to themselves and be a bit realistic. Look, Man United we've got a good squad, we've got a good manager, we've got some great players, but it will be a kind of a season where it's going to be up and down. Expect more Brentford games where we lose 4-0 and we get torn apart. Just expect them, because it will happen. And that's just being realistic. But as for the players, yeah, they do need to kick on. They need to get some confidence. They need to start really gelling together. And I think we are seeing that, winning 4 on the bounce in the league. Of course, last week we completely changed it up against Real Sociedad and we'd lost that game, albeit it should never have been a penalty. And we should have drew, I think 0-0 is probably a fair result there. But it's all about just building that confidence and trying to gain a bit more momentum going into other games, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that, Jarvis has mentioned it there. I think the biggest challenge we've got tomorrow is trying to figure out a team that plays compact and plays defensive. That's where we've struggled in
Sorry, I've just seen a comment about Bainesy's not on the title train. Well, I'm 100% on the title train.
If anybody knows Bainesy, Bainesy thinks we're going to get relegated. So if anybody knows his reverse psychology.
I'm going to keep predicting the scores, right? And if it works in my favour, I'll do it. But the curse was broken.
What did you predict last week, Bainesy?
2-1 Real Sociedad.
Oh, so there you go.
I got it right. I got winners right.
Just adding to what Jarvis said, right? The problem with a low block is, and this is where Sancho for me is absolutely infuriated, because he's not the same player that we bought from Dortmund. I got absolutely castigated when I said we didn't need Sancho. And Bainesy was probably on the same show as me, and he'll remember 3 messages I had. You don't watch enough German football to understand what he does. And I replied, it's an irrelevance. I said exactly the same with good old Varane. And it's an irrelevance of the levels that they had then as to the levels that they've got now.
Premier League's a different animal.
Yeah, and I've said this before and I've said it again. And this is why, and I agree with Jarvis, by the way. I think they'll play a 4-5-1 deep counter-attacking style of play. I'm not so sure that Sancho is the right man for that. And I think somebody like Garnacho, he's got this youthful exuberance, because you need players. When you're playing against a deep block, you've got to be able to entice them out. You've got to get in behind. You've got to find ways of getting behind them. Anthony will do that for us. I'm pretty sure he will. I've got a feeling Garnacho would, because I don't think Sancho, at this point in his career with Manchester United, is that player that will get him behind. And this is a big issue. So I totally agree with Jarvis. I think they'll make it difficult for us. If they make it difficult for us, we've got to find a way of freeing Ronaldo and getting him behind. I'm not even talking about attacking the diagonal at the minute. I'm talking about getting him behind. Because if you can find space in behind, and I think Eriksen will be perfect for this, and Bruno. You've already mentioned that Bruno's playing between the slots, in between the centre back and the central midfield. He's finding those areas. If Eriksen can find him and then can find the width in behind the fullbacks, it totally destroys a low block. But it's whether we can do that. And that'll be an interesting thing for me. And I don't think Sancho currently, right now, gives us that. I'm not saying Garnacho can, but I'm just saying I don't think Sancho does.
I'm gonna let Mr. Tom pick up his views on that, because I could speak, but I'll let Mr. Tom speak on that one as well. But no,
grab the popcorn. This one's going to be good.
Do you know what? I'm not worried about Sancho at all. I'll be honest with you. In a lot of our goals, he's been involved in the play. And when I say involved in the play, I mean the pass. And if you go back to pre-season and the training, and Ten Hag instructing him, if nothing's on, you recycle the ball, or you switch the ball to the other side. So because I was literally just before this, I was on a space and someone was like, I want him to beat his man. Well, Ten Hag doesn't want him to try and attempt something and lose the ball, clearly, right? So like what you saw last game, where it's like people looked at clips of Anthony and thought he's just going to come in and try to beat everyone. That's not his game. I've said this, repetition. So what you saw last game, when he gets the ball, what did he do? Pass it inside or pass it backwards. That's what Sancho's going to do. And I remember someone saying this, they'll be worried if Ten Hag comes in and restricts his game like he restricted Anthony's game, because then you ain't going to see Sancho from Dortmund at all. Because Ten Hag is a very restricted manager in the way he even said it. I've got rules on that pitch, right? So it's very systematic in the way he plays. So when I say Sancho's been involved in a lot of the goals, if you actually watch that switch of play when he plays it inside, right? So that's what's happening. This manager, unfortunately, don't like players to have that much freedom, and I've never seen a Ten Hag's team personally run in behind. Do you know what I mean? He does, like the last Ajax team, the defenders brought the ball up. It's more about, like, even the goals we scored against Arsenal. He said that's what we worked on the pitch. Eriksen picking up the balls in those areas. A lot of it is how he likes, to be and instructed. So if Sancho keeps starting, that's because the manager clearly is happy with what he's doing. Don't get me wrong, I would love Sancho from Dortmund, but unfortunately, the instructions he might be given from, I'm just basing it on that preseason video. It doesn't seem like he has the freedom to do certain things. And another issue we have, if you now go look at the top wingers in European football, look at where they receive the ball. 9 times out of 10, it's in the final third. Go look at Mahrez. Every time he receives the ball at Man City, he's not receiving the ball on the halfway line. And when he does, all he's doing is passing backwards or inside. That's all he's doing. It's only when now he's in the final third, and he's normally one-on-one with a man, right?
Well,
because his midfielders or his centre-backs are playing balls through the lines. This is what a big issue at Man United. It's been an issue for a while.
The one we've got, Stu, as well. I'll just add to what Mr. Tom was saying as well. I think, and I think you'll agree with this anyway. But we're not controlling the midfield. So like the forward line in a City team, if you watch that game tonight, the forward line don't have to really worry about necessarily, other than the fact that they have to press when they lose it deep. But in terms of it being recycled, they don't have to worry about that. They don't have to drop deep. So if you watched, if you're a Man City fan, Grealish was frustrating tonight, but he's doing nothing differently than what Sancho was doing. But the trouble is, Grealish might be getting 10 more, 12 more touches than Sancho is per game. So he's able to do more on the ball. And I think when Sancho gets it, when you're only getting 3 touches a game and you're expected to do something, it's quite a pressure to
Steve, before you go, there's a moment in the Leicester game. This has happened last season. So there was a moment in the Leicester game. Sancho gets the ball on the left. 3 defenders on him. 3. And not one midfielder or anybody was there. Give me the ball. Pass the ball. Give me the ball. That has been happening a lot. He'll get doubled up. And like I said, if you go back to the top teams, the wingers, the Dembeles, the Namas, the Neymar, the wingers are getting the ball in the final third. And normally they're one-on-one. Because that's one of the biggest issues we have at United.
No, and I agree with that.
That's quite an interesting thing from Apex, by the way, Stuart. I don't know if you agree with that. But that kind of I sort of agree with that. I think Bruno does contradict that style.
Yeah, I can go with that. I understand the points about the how deep we drop occasionally to receive the ball. The problem is, though, what you're doing is suffocating one of the finest strikers in world football. That's the issue with it. Ronaldo's not scored yet because he just isn't getting the service. And by doing and playing Anthony and playing Sancho the way that he wants to play, and I don't disagree with that, by the way. I think you're absolutely bang on about how he wants to play. You're suffocating Ronaldo. So then we've got to decide what we do with Ronaldo. Now, when he started playing with Halle, it was a little bit different, wasn't he? Because Halle lived in the 18-yard box. Yeah, he could come and take it deep, etc. He could hold the ball up brilliantly, but they got the ball in quickly. We're not getting the ball in quickly, are we? When was the last time we whipped the ball in for Ronaldo or whoever's playing number 9? It just doesn't happen. And that's my frustration with the way that Ten Hag wants to play. I get it, and I agree with you. I think you're both absolutely 100% right, the way that he plays. But I think we've got to change that up somehow.
I think all teams are trying to go this way a little bit, aren't they? I think I didn't see the second goal tonight, but I noticed for a large portion of the game, and maybe Bainesy can back me up here. We're not talking about City too much, but I think that's the way that Ten Hag similarly wants to play. Is Cancelo wasn't really getting on the ball, and I imagine he wants the same from Malacia a little bit. He wants Malacia to get more forward so that he's able to play those deep crosses to a Ronaldo or to a number 9, and that's what we're not doing.
Cancelo's ball was delivered about 10 yards in from the penalty area corner quarter, where I like to attack it, and he delivered it from there. So he was
playing
almost
with Foden. Foden sort of got him in the game. Then he probably
was almost halfway between, as I say, the corner and the D, and he whipped his ball in there. I mean, it was poor defending really from Hummels. Great goal, but poor defending. But the thing about him is he tried it. We don't do that.
Yeah,
Salah wouldn't do it. No chance. Malacia probably would, but he's not there yet. So again, my point being, you're suffocating one of the world's greatest strikers if he plays.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think we need to be a bit more brave in situations and be a bit more. Yeah,
you two are right. I
mean, the Sociedad game, I can only ever remember us putting the ball in once, and that was for Ronaldo's disallowed goal, wasn't it? Which was a great header, but Salah was offside. Maybe it was offside because
that was really the only chance
in the cross, maybe. But
was it a Dalot cross as well?
Yeah,
I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Dalot cross.
Just off.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do more of. I totally agree with that. Yeah, definitely. John, we'll come on to you. We'll just noticed this comment here actually just come in, and it's a fair point. Obviously, we will come to selection shortly. I think we're getting close to that mark. But Casemiro, we haven't really seen much of him at the minute, John. Do you think he'll start the game against Sheriff?
Possibly. I think it might be possibly between him and McTominay start the game. Obviously, he didn't have the best game against Real Sociedad, and every game before then he came on as a sub, and he's looked okay coming off at times, but he has made a couple of mistakes as well. So I think he's getting used to the style and the play, and obviously he didn't have the pre-season with us, so it will take him a few games to get used to playing for us. But I do think I will personally start him tomorrow, because you got to try and get him in. His experience in Europe in particular will come in handy, I would have thought, and he will bring a lot once he eventually starts getting games and starts playing for us regularly, that kind of thing. So, I do think what I would say about the front three is that with Sancho, he has to. It can be frustrating when he doesn't really take on a player and get the ball in the box. But I think he's a player like, you got to look at the strengths. Ronaldo only really comes around when he's in the box, so you got to get the ball into him. With Sancho, you got to get players in around him to get the best out of him. So I play that 1-2 kind of thing. He's not going to run past the player that often. And I think that's something, you got to look at if you are going to improve and start scoring more goals, which we touched upon before. I do think he needs to show a little bit more like a few of our players and that, but I do think eventually, hopefully, he should come good. But yeah, I think the midfield is a general issue for us. We have touched on we're not really controlling games yet. We have won 4 in a row in the league, but like I said before, the Arsenal games, they had a lot of the ball. Even Liverpool, though we played well, they had 70% possession. So you've got to try and get a hold of that midfield as soon as you do, you'll start winning a few more games convincingly instead of grinding out results. But yeah, I will play Casemiro tomorrow, and hopefully, if he does, we get the win.
Yeah, brilliant. I think we do need to see more of him, and I think he's left it kind of some elements of doubt in people's mind, unfortunately. I think that's just the way that it goes when you kind of play at the top level. Baines, do you sort of think you want to see more of him? Do you think he'll start tomorrow? I don't want to sort of come to your selection on the midfield too soon on that one, but I'm just interested in your views on Casemiro and that Sociedad game and this game coming.
He was a bit worrying, wasn't he? It was a bit of, it's probably
wasn't convincing, was it? I think.
But I think he's just a bit rusty. If for being totally honest, we have seen the best of him, and he's by far not finished. He's only 30. I'll say that because I'm 30, so he's only 30. So, we will see the best of Casemiro. I think he just needs to get match fit, get that rust off him a little bit. Get some minutes under his belt, and he'll be fine. I mean, I think we said it last week that there will be a point where McTominay will go back to just being burnt out, and that's where Casemiro will come in and shine for us and provide that depth. But whether or not he starts tomorrow, he weren't very convincing last week. It all depends because at the moment McTominay is the one in form. If we're really being honest here, and we shouldn't really change a winning side in a game where we have to win. So it could be a possibility that McTominay actually starts tomorrow, but Casemiro might get 30 minutes, depending on the result at 60 minutes. So yeah, I don't think it's time yet. There will be a point in the season where McTominay will just be burnt out, and he will probably have a dreadful game one day, and then Casemiro comes in. Whether or not he starts is probably a different question at the moment. I think we need to revisit it probably when the schedule fully restarts again. Maybe against City. He loves a derby. We all know how well he's played at Madrid in big matches. So maybe City might be that might be a thing for him. He's South American at the end of the day. They all play with their heart, don't they? So but for now, I don't think we'll come into the selection, but I don't think we should change a winning side, and we should play McTominay there. McTominay, it seems like McTominay right now is having the Telles effect, where we signed Telles and all of a sudden Shaw became good. We don't know if Casemiro's had that effect on McTominay. We don't know. But I think we'll see. We'll get for a few more games and we'll see how we get on.
Yeah, I mean, Josh just put there. Why is everyone convinced McTominay will play? So I think it was more just to kind of discuss whether. I don't think he will. By the way, I think it's more just that this game is more rotation.
Look, he's in form. And the last 4 games, he's played the 6 role, and he's done a good job. Now, albeit he's had Eriksen alongside him, who's obviously helped in that, and he's helped Bruno, he's helped the front 3, everything.
I think Andrew's right there as well.
Yeah, Andrew is right, and so is Jarvis. We shouldn't drop him. We should reward him because he's been playing well. Now, there will be a time where he won't have a good game, and that's where Casemiro needs to step up and go, right, I'm taking this spot. I've been doing this for many years. I've done it at the biggest stage. Time for me to shine at the club.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, at some point, we talked about these amount of games coming up, and you need to have a good squad. And Casemiro is part of that squad, an expensive member of the squad as well, so he needs to play at some point. So I think this is an opportunity for him to play. We'll get on to selection, Mr. Tom. I'll come to you. I mean, unless you want to speak about the Casemiro one, but I'm sure if
I
you've
think
got
he does, because the way he was looking.
Go on, then.
He
Go on,
does.
then, Mr. Tom. I want to hear this one. Go on, then, mate.
I'll be very quick.
No. You go ahead, mate. You go on.
As for Casemiro, I'm concerned, if I'm honest, whether
He didn't look good last week. He really didn't.
I'm more concerned not of that, but as in, does the manager actually see a way for him to fit into the team and the way he wants to play? Maybe he does. But from what I read and the Athletic reported, it was actually the recruitment team and scouting team that mapped out how he could fit into Ten Hag's system, and not Ten Hag saying he can fit into my system like this, if that makes sense. So it's and the way that Scott McTominay is playing, like for the Arsenal game, I'm going to use that example. There was one time he got into the box, right? It was on goal. And another time he was on the edge of the box. I don't know what he's trying to use, some knee ups or kick ups, whatever. I don't see Casemiro, or from what I've seen him in his career so far, playing that sort of role. He needs to do more than what a typical 6 does. Unless that means Ten Hag would have to switch up his system that he's currently playing right now, if that makes sense, if he tried to get Casemiro in the team. Literally, he would have to switch it up. And that's why those sort of managers, they like a register sort of player. And that's why he chased De Jong for so long. And that's why the original plan from what Ten Hag spoke about wasn't Eriksen playing that position. It sounded like it was Eriksen playing more in the number 10, further up. And it's only when I remember that interview when he said, if we don't get that, and he also mentioned, well, Eriksen can play deeper, right? So it's strange. I see Casemiro fit in the team, but I wonder, can he do the role that Ten Hag wants to do? And any Real Madrid fans I spoke to was like, if you want him to be some ball players, that's not him. You want him to break up and keep it simple. That's not him. And McTominay, as much as for his standards, he's played well. He's kept it simple, kept the ball ticking. And like I said, gets further up the pitch than what a Casemiro has been used to through his career. So it's going to be, like I said, Ten Hag is going to have to tweak things. If he does, I don't know. But that's a strange one for me. I'll be honest with you. But as for Scott McTominay, look, for his standards, he's played well. But as in all, we can't control games because of the midfield. And that's not against the boy, but that's just, we can't control a midfield because of, control a game because of the midfield. Bruno, very, forward thinking. There was a spell when he came on, and I love when people send me these things. He came on the left side of the last game, when he was keeping the ball, was really nice, keeping the ball. Then even went back out, keeping the ball. And then Bruno got on the ball and just tried to hoof it into the box and lost the possession. But it's like, that's the issue. We can't keep control or dominate a game because of our midfield's imbalance right now. And Scott's a part of that, unfortunately. Just saying.
I've got a comment on this as well, I'm afraid. I would play him. No mistake, no problem, no issues. If you don't play Casemiro now, you are going to have an issue in 4, 5, 6 weeks' time when McTominay inevitably gets injured.
When you say I would play him, you mean McTominay or Casemiro?
No, Casemiro.
I
put him straight in. You are going to have issues if you don't give a player who's got no Premier League experience whatsoever game time. You've got to give the guy game time. Do it now. So do it in Europe. Okay. If you don't want to play him in the Premier League at the minute, great, but give him game time in Europe at least. Because it might well be, as Bainesy quite rightly pointed out, with his experience of big match, high intensity games against Athletic Madrid, Brazil, Argentina, Barcelona, etc., he will be perfect to break up at any attacks at City, try and play through the middle. But you can't put him in cold. It doesn't matter how good he is. You can't put him in cold. So that's what I would do. And that's the only reason I would play him over McTominay this week and next week. I would try and get him in as soon as possible. You've got to acclimatise certain players. I don't think he looks fit, Bainesy, actually. I don't think he looks 100% fit yet. And he has made some bad mistakes when he's been on. Put me, Maguire in an awful situation when he came on.
Yeah.
But, Maguire did the right thing, commit a foul, get on with it.
Was that the Arsenal one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was.
he got heavily. Maguire got. To be fair, I'm not Maguire's biggest fan, but he got heavily scrutinised.
He did,
Maguire.
didn't he? Again, yeah.
But
And it
it's
wasn't
good defending.
brilliant defending.
Yeah,
It's good defend. He had to make the challenge.
Can
He
I
had to knock him
just
down.
make the point? If he hadn't have brought him down, he would have gone past the player, and I can't remember the other Arsenal attacker was making a run there. The play, Jesus could have slid the ball in, and he's through on goal, and he could score. So that's
he
why
did
he
the right
had
for
to
Maguire.
make
So,
the tackle.
and that's why I would probably play Maguire. I know we're going to get into Team Reece, sorry, but I'll give Maguire another chance on Thursday as well, because you need to get these players playing. You really do. Got to get them playing. Got to get them firing. We're going to have issues now, aren't we? With do you know, guys? Before we know it, the World Cup's going to be here.
Literally in a month. Sorry, no, that's not right.
It's
2
about
months.
6 weeks, isn't
It's
it?
nuts. Before we know it, the World Cup's going to be here. You know, and players are going to disappear after the 9th of November, isn't it? I think is our last game. Is it the 9th or something along those lines?
I think we play our. I think
it's
the last one's the 23rd or something.
We play deep into November, do they? Because most countries go away 2 weeks before, don't they? Or at least a week before the World Cup starts, because
I think
it's
the 13th of November.
So,
13th. Okay.
Interesting how it's going to be and what Ten Hag does. But I would play Casemiro based on he needs minutes. That's it for me, really. It's the only reason. I'm not saying McTominay's not played well, because quite frankly, he has. The kid's done okay. You can't argue with. But you've got to get a player of Casemiro's quality up to speed as soon as we can.
No, I agree with that. I think there's a lot of similarities, there's differences as well. But when you look at McTominay, Casemiro, even Fred, I was looking at some of the lineups that Brazil have played just as you were chatting there, and Fred was very much further forward in the Sociedad game, but in the Brazil games, he's very much kind of sat right next to Casemiro in a defensive position.
I think that was also a big factor as well, because it's like Fred looked like a rabbit in the headlights being further up, didn't he? But and Casemiro didn't have that partnership. Obviously, I think Eriksen had a good game. I'm not sure why he came off at half time, but I think if you're gonna play Casemiro and Fred, you gotta play them together, don't you?
I think in the Brazil team, when you've got Vinicius Jr., Neymar,
and different story.
Yeah, it's a bit of a.
You don't have to rely on Fred.
It's a different story.
But let's come to lineup then. We're sort of 45 minutes beyond into the hour. So, John, let's come to your back line, or in terms of what you think Ten Hag will go with tomorrow.
I think he'll resort back to the defence he normally has in the Premier League, because we're not playing.
Keeper, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention. I'm going to assume that De Gea is going to play.
Well, I think it's evident De Gea will play, Delo will play. I personally think he'll go back to Varane and Martinez, and then Malacia at left back.
Right. So you don't think Maguire's going to get a...
No, because I think maybe he played him last week thinking about, before the Queen died, go back to his partnership. But because we haven't got a game, he might go back to his the trust, trust, I think.
And Malacia, did you say Malacia left back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Luke Shaw's obviously back now, and they seem to make a point about that in the...
He did. I noticed that.
But I don't know if he'll. I think obviously a bit of fitness as well to still play into that. But yeah, no, that's fair. Thank you for that, John. Bainesy, what's your back line then tomorrow?
Same. Yeah, same back five. Don't change a winning squad. De Gea, Malacia, Varane, Martinez, Varane, and Delo for me.
Brilliant. Mr. Ton, yours? Do you think that'll be the same?
He's going to say Luke Shaw.
No. Don't change the back five. Obviously, the keeper's going to remain. I'll keep the same team. I remember after the Arsenal game, Ten Hag even mentioned it. With that unit at the back, he didn't feel like them cracking us. So he's clearly happy with the way they're performing together and linking together. So, I've said at the start of the show, I'll go my strongest 11, and they're part of that.
Bro, no, that makes my life loads easier. Thank you for that.
That's the back five sorted.
Yeah. Stu, your back line?
No, I think he keeps the same. I think Varane starts. I wouldn't play Varane. I'd play Maguire in this game. And I'll play Maguire next Thursday as well. The problem with Varane is these are 2 winnable games. They really are 2 winnable games. We need him fit for City. You've got to make that choice. It will be that same back five. I'm going to go with the same back five. I think the lads are spot on. I agree with him. But I would play Maguire in place of Varane. But I'll keep the same back five.
I tend to agree. I think the only change I would make is Varane. I think that's somebody I was going to ask you all really, and I think you probably answered my question there in terms of is there a player in our team now currently that that is undroppable at this moment in time? And I think Varane's getting close to that.
He's getting there, isn't he? He's getting there. There's no two ways about it. And I think
you could maybe argue Dallo, couldn't you?
You could, but
no. But I'm just saying that it doesn't because of anyone else getting a look.
Yeah, so sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture in football, haven't you?
The
bigger picture is you rest Varane, but he won't do it. Yeah, I think I agree with the boys. It'll be the same.
He's going to go the same.
Yeah,
great. No, we'll get straight on to the midfield then, John. Over to you on the midfield. This might be a little bit more open for debate on this one.
I think he'll be nailed on. He'll start Eriksen and Bruno, but it's Casemiro and McTominay, I think. I think him. I don't know. I think he might go McTominay. You know.
Yeah.
I think he might.
Right. Okay. Bainesy, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that same midfield simply because he would want to win tomorrow, so he's going to go with the winning team. It wouldn't surprise me that if perhaps maybe we're 2-0 up in the first 45 minutes, that he brings off one of the trio and puts in Casemiro to get him minutes. Because again, as Stu said, that it is important. It is vitally important. He gets some minutes in his belt. I can see him coming in for City. So, yeah, I to be honest, I can see Casemiro starting, but I can also see McTominay, and I think he'll go with McTominay, Eriksen, and Bruno tomorrow.
Brilliant. And Mr. Tom, do you agree with that one, or do you think there'll be some change?
I'm gonna be a bit just outlandish here. I reckon he might do the Casemiro thing some more, only because he's had time on the training pitch to implement him.
Well.
And the last game when Eriksen, at first glance, when I first watched the game, Eriksen and Casemiro, I wasn't happy. But when I went back and looked at it, we, especially against the Spanish team, we had a lot of control in that midfield. So I can see them working on that. And we had control because of Casemiro in there. So I could see maybe him trying it tomorrow and trying to implement him into the system. Man, you don't spend 60 mil on a 30-year-old that's won how many Champions Leagues and just put him on the bench, man. I reckon this is the perfect opportunity to throw him in there. So I'll say Bruno, Casemiro, and Eriksen.
Brilliant. Stu, you might have a final say on the. It's going to go to a debate if you go for Casemiro. So let's see what you think it's going to.
No, I am going to go Casemiro. I think he plays. I respect the lads, and I think you could well be right with McTominay, boys, but I think Casemiro plays.
I would agree.
To be fair, there's an argument for both.
There is, absolutely, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But I think Casemiro gets the nod for me. I really do. Jarvis has made a good point, by the way, about Sheriff sitting deep and then pressing on the counter in behind. Is Maguire? You know, I accept that. It's a good point. I accept that.
That's a good point.
I accept that.
Yeah.
I would just play Maguire again. I think we're going to need Maguire at some point this season. We know Varane's going to get injured. And that's why I would maybe give Maguire minutes. But it's a great point, and I fully accept it and agree with it.
Yeah. Well, I've got the final say on the McTominay Casemiro one. I personally, boys, think it will be Casemiro. I think it will be Casemiro. I think as Stu and Mr. Toller said,
I think that's
he
probably
needs
the only
minutes.
one way it's like 50-50, I reckon.
Yeah, I think everyone else is nailed on. I think we'll get everyone nailed on apart from that position.
It can go either way. This is going to be a bit of a nail biter for that position this season, because if Casemiro has a really good game, albeit it's weaker competition, could he stake a claim? If he has another poor game, it could go drastically the other way for Casemiro and for Ten Hag's kind of thoughts on him. So I think he's got to put him in the firing line and give him a chance. And next to Bruno and Eriksen and that back line, he should be playing well. So I think he definitely gets a chance. Right, straight into the forward line then, which again might be a little bit more of a mixed bag. I think we kind of know who's probably going to be playing in that number 9 position, but maybe the two either side might be slightly different. But John, you get the first say on this, mate. Who do you think will be playing up front?
Yeah, well, I think Ronaldo will start up top. I think he'll play Anthony. I think he'll probably go Sancho, but it wouldn't surprise me if he started Elanga actually. But I'll probably say Sancho for the final spot and Anthony Ronaldo.
Bloody hell! I think generally I've agreed with John on every single one. Yeah, that's mine as well. To be fair, Sancho left wing, Ronaldo up top, and Anthony on the right.
I don't know if this is still your reverse psychology, this Benji, so I can't tell whether you're being serious or not.
No. With the team selection, I do it properly. I don't know what I might do with the predictions because my curse is broken. So
it is. Yeah.
This will be interesting. Mr. Ton, what are you thinking, mate? You think there'll be a slight change in there, or do you think there'll be Sancho, Ronaldo, Anthony as well?
Yeah, Sancho, Ronaldo, Anthony. I feel like both of those wingers suit Ronaldo's game, if I'm honest. Saw the little link up Sancho had with Ronaldo last season. The way Anthony plays, I think, will suit Ronaldo if our wingers underlap and overlap and get forward a lot. I think it will help. I think Ronaldo might even score tomorrow. To be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll hold that thought because we're going to come to that one. I'm going to come to that one. But no, yeah, great. And this has been easy tonight. I don't know why this has been so straightforward. Normally, it's a real task to pick a Man United team, but this has actually been straightforward, which is, I don't know if that's a good sign. We're getting there, aren't we? It's picking itself these days, which is a good sign. Stu, are you going to say the same?
Yeah, I stand by my point about young Garnacho. As much as he would frustrate me, I think he could cause some real damage tomorrow afternoon. Sorry, don't forget it's a 5:45 kickoff or an early kickoff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But he won't. He will play Anthony, Sancho, and Ronaldo. That's our strongest front three, and that's what he'll go for.
Well, guys, I've got. I'll get it up here really, really quickly if I can. So that's what we've got. That's what we've got there. So I've been doing that in the background. It's not as seamless as Simon, who I'll give a big shout out. Actually, he's a little bit busy with family duties at the minute, but hopefully Simon will be back at some point because he's sorely missed.
Yeah, because this is rubbish now, Jake.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's not the best, is it? I mean, come on.
No, it's not. It's not great, is it?
It's all right.
It's not great. But yeah, that's what we're looking at, guys. So we've so it's quite an attacking team, I think.
Yeah.
Martinez put a left foot at right foot centre out.
Yeah.
If Simon was here, he would not make this mistake.
Yeah, no, that's why he needs to be hosting and not me.
You've got Dallo in his usual no man's land.
Dallo, yeah, somewhere like
yeah,
that.
there you go.
Fucking no man's land.
So that's it for the selection, guys. So we're just in terms of score predictions, and we'll have a bit of a round robin in that. And don't forget to get your score predictions in the chat as well, and we'll show them on the screen. Difficult one. I think we had quite a few goals for the last game against Sociedad, and then it ended up sort of blowing up in his face a little bit, I think. But maybe a little bit more reserved for tomorrow night. But I'm expecting goals. I'm going to be honest. I'm expecting goals. We've been not really been spoilt with goals this season, so I'm hoping we've been a bit starved, haven't we? So we'll come to you, John. What's your score predictions and first goal scorer, please, mate?
I'm actually going to go for a steady 2-0, and I think Anthony will get the first goal.
Right, okay. Bainesy?
I don't know what to do this week. I genuinely don't know what to do
What
this
you
week.
think?
Because my curse was broken last week. So do I see that as a sign?
Yes.
I'm going to go with a 3-0 United, and I will go for Sancho first goal.
Wow,
We're going to lose.
You are very
I can't believe I've said this.
Very optimistic with that one. Very optimistic.
Tremendous.
Mr. Tom?
I'm going to go 4-0. Ronaldo to score 2 and Ronaldo to score the first goal.
Wow.
Last time I predicted the person to score the first goal. I got it right.
Right. Well, these are some good games. So these are some
We've
nice
kept a
games.
clean sheet in all of them at the moment.
I just don't see that back four conceding. I'll be honest with you. Not against this team. I might be wrong, but not against this team.
You cursed us now.
Clip it.
Stu, mate, are you gonna pop this optimism? Are you, or are you gonna keep it going?
To be fair, I was at 4-0 with Ronaldo brace as well. That's exactly where I was. I think it'll be a very difficult 30 minutes.
We should beat these lot tomorrow. Come on.
They will
we should beat these lot.
And they will be dangerous. But once we get over that hump, it's a little bit like Wednesday. It's hump day. Once we get over that hump in the match, we should take control, and I think we will score 4. And I'm going to go for Ronaldo brace. Mr. Ton, I'm with you on that one all the way. That was my score, and I'm not changing.
Well, I'm going to go with a 3-1. I think we're conceding still.
We need to get Simon back.
I can't
Clean sheet.
That's terrible.
I'm sorry. Well, Simon, it was actually not my score. Simon texted me earlier on and said 3-1, Reece.
He's not coming back either.
Okay.
I'm blaming that. Yeah.
John's hosting next week.
Yeah. 3-1.
Wait, I just want to say something, everyone. Not to scare everyone. The same team did beat Real Madrid last year.
Come on, man.
Don't scare no one.
You scared me more when you said against this team.
Guys, just remember one thing though: they beat Real Madrid in the Champions League. They're in the Europa League.
So Real Madrid won the competition. So bring it on. If they beat us,
we were in the Champions League at the same time when they did it.
Yeah, all right. Never mind.
Well, they went on to win it as well, so maybe that's a sign we'll win and go on and win.
Don't forget, guys, early kick-off. Get home from lunch. 5:45, guys.
Oh, the joys of a Thursday night.
Few score predictions in the chat. Hammer's there. 3-1 to United. Bruno scored first goal.
Jacob 5-0.
Yes, Jacob.
5-0.
Yes, Jacob.
All goals in first half as well. That put your bet on now, Jacob. That's going to return some money if you get that one right, mate.
Did Sheriff beat them twice?
He got his first goal.
They beat him home and away. Wow, if they did, that's incredible.
Did they beat? Am I making that up?
What?
I'm sure they did. Because at one point, Real Madrid were bottom of their group.
Yeah,
maybe they lost their first game, and then when they replayed Sheriff, they were losing or something like that.
There you go. Jarvis is in 4-0. There you go.
His prediction's quite topsy-turvy there. I don't think you've actually given a prediction there, Jarvis.
My prediction is 0-0, but we'll win 4-0.
4-0.
He's doing a me. I like it.
That's the fence sitter with you there, Bainesy. You two are sitting on the fence. But some good score predictions, and I think we're destined for a good result tomorrow. And if not a few goals, a good performance, a dominant, controlling performance as well is what I think we need to see as well. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, exciting. Nice to see football come back for United for a while until we have the break as well. So that'll be quite nice. But we've rounded off the hour. Thanks to John, Bainesy, Stu, and Mr. Ton. To everybody in the chat, don't forget to subscribe and like and comment and share, do all the good stuff, and follow us on Twitter. And we'll catch you in the next one. I'm not sure if there's another if you are on another show this week, Stu, but if you are, would you mind telling the chat when we are?
I'll be doing my next tactical special after the City game. Myself and Abdel will be dissecting our famous victory against City. So we'll be doing that. I would imagine I'll be hosting, either myself or Callum will be hosting Sunday at the usual time, and then my last show will be Wednesday next week because I'm away for a few days on tour. So all wish me luck. Tune in next Wednesday, lads, to wish me luck.
Well,
I've got a brand new pair of Copa Mundials to
Nice.
Yeah, to mark the occasion. We head off to Portugal. Shifnal Town Vets. So we head off to Portugal for an international festival. So 4 days of beer. No, football. Beer. Football. Beer. Is it beer or is it football? Not sure.
Never the two should mix. But
also, can I just shout out also United's women are starting their season on Saturday as well. So the men sadly aren't playing this weekend, but the women do start their season at home to Reading at LSV. I think there are still tickets remaining, limited amount. So if you're free on Saturday at 12 o'clock, come down to LSV.
Good shout, John.
Brilliant.
It's a great show. Thanks, John. What are the tickets? £6, £7?
Yeah,
that's all they are. Come on.
£6 for adults, £3 for children.
Yeah, I mean, our fans will leave you on your own, by the way, because that's what they did to me last season, the first game. They left me on my own. They didn't even wave to me. I was out on my own. Billy, no mates.
You must have done something wrong, Stu. But no. Thank you to everybody anyway for that. Thanks to John Baines and Mr. Ton and Stu again for that. And I'm not sure if we'll do a reaction to the game coming up this week. Maybe it'll be a Sunday reaction, will the Stu? But
I would imagine we'll do something Sunday.
There might be something this weekend, so look out for that. But cheers everybody. Thank you. Catch you in the next
one.
week.
Cheers. Thank you.